People class, welcome to today's review of the Ronin from Star Wars Visions. So if you guys haven't already seen my short, you already know that I love this guy with a passion. He doesn't come with a lot, he comes with his lightsaber and scabbard, and then a small gun as accessories. In all honesty, just from what he was represented as in the actual show to what we get as a toy, I really like it. The only real thing that I'm kind of iffy about is that they gave him skin color. I would have honestly liked him if he was just black and white, which I know, yes, there is a whole set about that, but I wasn't able to get it. So now we're stuck with the real life version of him. To get close and personal with him, I have to say that the first thing that I love about this guy is the hair. I love the actual hair sculpted detail. Yes, that has a giant seam line, so that unfortunately breaks it up a little bit, but then how it flows into the metal chin and the metal nose strap. I mean, when I was saying in my short that this is the best Flat Series figure that we have ever gotten, I meant it with my whole heart. Everything on here just looks so great. There's no flashy printing. I mean, yes, you can say the neck is very bare, same with the chest, but in all honesty, as a little toy form, I'm okay with that. I'm more concerned about the face, and if there's any paint bleed or something like that, which there is a little bit of where it doesn't go fully over the metal chin, but for what else this offers, I'm okay with it. Going into the actual cloak, this guy is just wearing a whole lot of black. So he has a lot of tattered robes, a lot of open air for their articulation, and he has these two silver bits on his shoulder which did bleed over a little bit, but I can literally get a Sharpie or some black paint and get a tiny toothpick, dab it on, not a problem. And for the gloves, they are very nice, and the beautiful thing, as if you have seen my Anakin review, which will be listed up there, they are ball jointed forearms, which means that you can get a little bit more range. It's more of just like how you do arm circles, consider it like that, but just a little bit when you can move the arm just that much more down, and then you get that tiny itty bitty bit of a ball jointed posability. You can get almost a full, if he had an angled gun or an angled shotgun, an angled pistol, which he does kind of here, you would be able to shoot straight. Unfortunately, we can't unscabbard it, which sucks. That would have been so cool though. Going into the other arm, we have the same thing of the ball jointed forearm, that this one for some reason can go just a little bit further. I don't know, again, maybe I didn't position that one right, but I'm pretty sure they both have the same amount of motion. And it's not like some of the old Jedi where this whole thing was filled. I love that they left it empty, they didn't waste the plastic, and the arm isn't heavy as heck. Going on to the chest or the midsection of the cloak, you have this nice little chain band that does have some nice painting. Of course, it is rubber, so if you really stress it, it will break, so be careful. Same with the belt. The belt is more for everything on this guy is for artistic expression, but I'm just saying that just so it's not like, why did they make it like that? This was a CG animated short, or let's say an episode. So this whole thing is supposed to be in one pose or like a 3D model, and how you have to manipulate everything. So they manipulated it to be like this instead of trying to make it super realistic or the clothes flowing in a beautiful direction, which they are, but again, as an artistic representation. For the scabbards themselves, they are very, let's say, bare. I'll be really honest with you, the main scabbard just has a gunmetal tip with holes of where you can see the red blade, and then the handle has two nicely gold painted pieces, and then in between each of the bands you do have gray painting, so it is not just a basic ugly lightsaber hilt, which is very great. And of course it could have painted a little bit more detail right on their gold piece, but I'm cool with that. They did amazing for this. And then the only two colors on the gun are just the metallic silver and the brown for the leather. For the blades, this is where it gets a little, if you like them, you like them, if you don't, you don't, and I get both. So they are big and chunky, and they are only, unfortunately, single jointed, but luckily the single joint is very tight, so he can hold his joints very nicely. And it does have a rotation that mine is a little, it's smooth, but I feel like if I use it too much, it will definitely get a little too smooth and become loose. So there is calf sculpting, as you can see, so you can get very nice range of motion. I'm very happy that they didn't didn't do it at the top of the ankle, which would have meant that they would have had to ruin the detail. I would have liked the laces to be a different color, maybe a lighter brown, but because they're the feet and they're kind of, it's like the back, how it's not really looked at. I get it. And is it that hard to paint it? No. Again, just get a toothpick, dab, 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 and it'll be just fine. For the lightsaber itself, it comes out very smoothly, and it does have a little itty bitty bit of a warp, but of course it's kind of supposed to, because it is supposed to be a katana, and as you can see, the scabbard itself is a little bit curved, so if you want yours straight, unfortunately, if you leave it in there, especially with a little bit of heat over time, it is going to kind of warp. It's not the biggest deal. It's not like you're going to notice it unless you see it. But for the articulation, the head can go up pretty high, and the hood does not get in the way, jacket doesn't get in the way, head tilt without a problem, and also this is on a flexible material, so you don't have to worry about breaking that, especially if you drop it. Same with the pieces on the side of the head. There is a tad, like literally a tad bit of neck articulation, but I'm gonna consider it not even there. Another contention point for me is the ab crunch. There is none. It is just a ball joint that connects the torso to the waist, so he can rotate, which mine is very tight and doesn't really seem like he can go further than a walking pose, but at least they added it. For the arms, there is a slight, I mean a literal slight butterfly joint, which, okay, so I had to force mine. Never mind. It does have a basic butterfly joint. It goes more backwards, which I feel like is more for the drawing position on this arm, and for this arm, it can go a little bit more forward. Again, this might just be my figure. This shoulder feels loose in comparison to this one. This one is tighter, so maybe that's why the range isn't the same, but ain't that big a deal. Of course, you can get a 360 without a problem, and then going up, he can go to 90. I wish he could have gone a little bit more. I'm okay with this. Then there is a very, almost, you know, this is the best single jointed arm that they have. I want to say it's almost like a double joint, and then the sculpting also works really well with the other pieces where they don't conflict or crash. That is awesome. And you can see the swivel here, mine's a little loose. Previously mentioned the forearm ball joint, which can give you a lot of range. Both of the hands are on the thumb to pinky hinge, so on this one you can't get as far as on the right hand, but you can get a decent amount, especially if it is just to hold the scabbard, which it cannot, because obviously it is a bit too big for the hand. So I just rest it on here, say I'm gonna draw it. Maybe I'll heat up the hand to wrap it around the top of the scabbard, maybe position a thumb down to make it seem like it's pushing out the katana, but I'm cool with it as it is. Going to the blades are a little tight too, so they stress me out, but it's like they're on a hinge. They can get under 90. The knee, as previously stated, is single jointed. For splits, he can practically do it. I mean, for me, it's good enough. Going back, he has a little bit more range than I thought he would. So he can do a moonwalk pose, which is very nice, or again, a drawing pose. This guy is mainly for a sword, which this is the best frame for a sword user, which should be on the rest of the Jedis and whatever, but you know, we'll leave that be. Then, as previously mentioned, there's a rotation both at the knee and the calf, and then the foot is on a hinge and swivel system. I know some people are wondering what kind of poses you can get, especially with the scabbard. Unfortunately, because of the way that you have to properly put the scabbard and the other weapon into the belt, you can't really turn it, work with it or anything, because if you change the direction, it's gonna pop out. It's gonna be a little bit tricky to put in. So you can really only get one pose, which I say one pose, you can get multiple poses with this in of itself, but because of the way that it best holds it, you can kind of only get this. And without warping the lightsaber, which it already is, as you can see, and I'm not comfortable with doing that, to be honest with you, he can kind of draw it. One burning question I had for myself is, can this dude dual wield? And yes, without a problem. Thanks to the beautiful posing and the way that the hand's made, and especially these dang ball joints, you can get a plethora of poses with him. The only thing I would really err you to be on the cautious side of is how the saber fits into the hand. The pointer finger and thumb fit very firmly and securely on the top of it, just under the gold piece, so the sword may not look, you know, movie accurate in some poses, but in other cases, if you're fine with how the sword is positioned, you can get an amazing range of poses without a problem. One other sad thing I just noticed is I thought that these are swivel hips, but no. When this guy was put together, his right leg was put forward more than his left, so now he's just kind of lopsided. And that is going to be it for my review. Again, be careful with the scabbard, because once you put it out of alignment with the belt and everything, it becomes a little bit of a pain to use. But everything else on this guy, if you tighten up joints a little bit, learn how to pose with the sculpted hands and whatever, and be fine with the saber not looking, you know, perfect in all cases, you can get an amazing figure. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Hope you consider getting this guy, and God bless. See you next time. Peace.